That beautiful building behind us is, behind me, is Kingston Lacey House. It's kind of my office. This is where I bring folks who want to go through our mentoring or coaching process, and we literally walk through the challenges you're facing so we can turn your stumbling blocks into stepping stones, your setbacks into springboards. And there's a lot of freedom associated, liberty associated with walking. So as we walk and talk in this safe environment, it really gives you an opportunity to have environmental enrichment, sensory enrichment, while you work through the issues you're facing. I'm in one of my happy spaces at Kingston Lacey here in the glass houses, which have just been restored to their former splendour. We've had a really good day today, again coaching a friend. But this morning, very early, but quite often the ideas come to me early in the morning, and I wanted to share an idea with you, because coaching has to do with a set process. And the process begins with what the Swedes call memories of the future. A chap called David Ingvar, Professor David Ingvar from the University of Lund in Sweden, coined the phrase. And he said, life is so complex, what we have to do is imagine the scenarios we're going to face. And then that scenario sits like a map in our mind and guides our conscious attention. So the richer the maps you have of the future, these memories of the future, the richer your experience of reality. It really does pay to daydream. And this glass house here, I'll take a little film of it in a minute so you can see the whole thing. This glass house here is a memory of the future. At the moment, the citrus trees that you can see in the background there are at a very early stage of their development. But the people who have paid and invested in restoring these glass houses can see an image of the future, a memory of the future, where the vines and the citrus trees will flourish in this protected environment. It's a wonderful example of it. And this means that when I coach somebody, we begin with a memory of the future. And it usually is directed by a wonderful question I've learned from Dan Sullivan. We call it the Dan Sullivan question. And I'm going to ask you that question now so that we can begin coaching together. And I'd like you to imagine, it's daydreaming, it's imagining, 3 years from now, we're having this conversation again. If we were to have this conversation 3 years from now, what has to have happened? What has to have happened, both personally and professionally, for you to feel absolutely delighted by your progress? So it's a productivity, progress, prosperity question. Having this conversation 3 years from today, what has to have happened, both professionally and personally, for you to be delighted with your progress? And many of you will know that I teach the whole think pen process based on Susan Dellinger's psychogeometrics and then 4 colours. And psychogeometrics are these 5 shapes: the box, the triangle, the circle, the squiggle, and the rectangle. I wonder which one you would choose as your dominant preference. The box, the triangle, the circle, the squiggle, and the rectangle. And the question I've just asked you is a squiggle question. It's an imagination question about what might be. It's about possibilities. It's about options. It's about opportunities. In your ideal future, 3 years from now, what has to have happened on that timeline for you to be absolutely delighted in that future? And then we bring it to the point, the triangle, and we go, okay, so if that's your vision of the future, which you store in your memory as if past, that's why we call it a memory of the future, what goals do we need to set to get us there? And I link that up to the colours on the pen here. So the rectangle is actually the choice shape, the frame for all this thinking. There are only 4 shapes we use with the pen. And the blue ink is what I use for blue sky thinking first of all. So let's imagine the future and create that future together. Let's co-create a map of the future. And then the red is my action colour. So I use the red for the triangle. What are my goals then? Having that future, what do I have to do? What are the steps I need to take to achieve that future? Then I use the black ink for the box, and the box is the detail. Tick the boxes. What research do I need to do? What homework do I need to do to make sure that I can fulfill those goals? What's the black and white thinking? And then that leaves us the circle, which is the green ink, for the ecology. If I pursue this path to my imagined future, what are the consequences for my nearest and dearest in the present and over the coming 3 years? That's the ecology check. Because when I say yes to something, an option for the future, I necessarily say no to other choices. So there has to be that balance, that work-life balance. You might be, for example, offered an amazing job in another part of the world, and it will give you a salary that will enable you to buy your home and be set up with a decent pension for the rest of your life. But you can't take your family with you, so you won't see your kids growing up. So there is the ecology check. And that means that with one pen, with 4 colour inks, you can create your future, you can set the goals, you can work out the homework you need to do, and check whether it sits well with your whole world. It's amazing, isn't it, what you can do with a think pen. Have a great day. In context as it stands now, ready for the future. Beautiful. See the fishtail glass. And already this commitment to the future, obvious through the plants that are growing here, the vines that have been here. Probably for decades. Look at the thickness of that. I'm not going to take you outside because it's raining. But I will show you the context, this amazing place at Kingston Lacey. And it is a big glass house.